All right, let's get right into it. Back in January of 2026, something happened up in low Earth orbit. That was, well, it was both an incredible success and, frankly, a massive wake-up call. An international crew had to make an early return to Earth, and the story of how it all went down tells us everything about how ready we are for medical emergencies in space, and maybe more importantly, how unready we are.
Think about this for a second. For the first time in 25 years of people living on the International Space Station, a mission had to be cut short because of a medical issue. It had never, ever happened before. So every single procedure, every call that was about to be made was being tested for real.
And then, bam, there it was, the official word from NASA. This wasn't some broken part or a problem with supplies. This was a controlled medical evacuation. And let me tell you, that phrase sent a huge ripple through the entire space community. Everyone was asking, what on earth is going on up there? So let's break down exactly what happened. How does a totally routine mission suddenly turn into this historic, first-of-its-kind event? Okay, so here's the TikTok. It all kicked off on January 7th. A spacewalk gets canceled at the last minute because of, and I quote, an undisclosed medical situation. The very next day, NASA confirms it. Crew-11's coming home about a month early. Only 6 days after that, they're undocking in their Crew Dragon, and in what felt like the blink of an eye, they were splashing down safely back on Earth. I mean, what a fast, smooth end to a super tense week. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of the evacuation, let's talk about who this was all happening to. Who were these astronauts, and what were they even doing up there? The crew was just this fantastic mix of rookies and veterans. You had NASA's Zena Cardman commanding the mission on her very first flight, paired with Mike Fincke, an absolute legend on his 4th trip to space. Joining them were Kimiya from Japan's space agency JAXA on his 2nd mission, and the Russian cosmonaut Oleg Platonov, also on his first flight. A truly global team. And you know, this quote from Kimiya, it just perfectly captures the magic, right? The sheer awe of what they were experiencing. It's this beautiful human side of spaceflight that exists right next to the high-stakes, high-tech reality. A reality that was about to get very, very real. And they were busy up there, believe me. Their to-do list had over 140 different experiments. We're talking about groundbreaking research on stem cells, looking at viruses that can kill bacteria, even testing out ways to grow nutrients on demand, something that's absolutely critical for future trips to Mars. They were also there to celebrate a huge milestone, 25 straight years of humans living on the ISS. Now, you might think an event like this would be total chaos, panic, right? But here's the thing. While this was the first time they ever had to use the plan itself had been sitting on a shelf for decades. It all boils down to this one document, NASA Standard 3001. You can think of it as the ultimate rulebook for keeping astronauts healthy. And it lays out, in painstaking detail, exactly what to do when something happens that's too big for the station's own sickbay to handle. There's a procedure for everything. And that procedure really comes down to 4 key steps. 1, give the best care you can with what you've got. 2, figure out what's wrong using tools like the portable ultrasound they have up there, which was apparently crucial in this case. 3, and this is the big one, if the problem is beyond what you can handle, the rules say an evacuation shall be available. It is not a suggestion. And finally, number 4, you have to have a ride home ready and a plan to get that astronaut all the way to a real hospital. And that brings us to this key bit of NASA speak, the DMCF, or Definitive Medical Care Facility. See, the plan doesn't just stop when the capsule hits the water. It extends all the way to a specific pre-approved hospital that's on standby, with all the fancy gear like MRIs and CT scanners, ready to go the second the crew is recovered. Now, this is so important because the words NASA used matter. A controlled medical evacuation is not an emergency return. An emergency is a get-down-now situation. It's drop everything, undock in the next few hours, and land wherever you can. But because the astronaut's condition was stable, they could take their time. They could take a few days to plan, to hand over their work on the station, and to wait for perfect weather for the splashdown. That massively lowered the risk of the trip home itself. So, the plan is in motion. The decision is made. Now the focus shifts to the ride home and the amazing piece of tech that served as their orbital lifeboat. The crew came home in the Crew Dragon Endeavour. And this is not just any old capsule. This thing is a legend. It's the most flight-proven vehicle in SpaceX's entire fleet. It's the one that flew the historic Demo 2 mission that brought human spaceflight back to American soil.
Its rock-solid track record, with over 860 days in space, gave everyone on the ground the confidence they needed to make the call. They knew the lifeboat was ready and reliable.
And man, was that lifeboat fast. From the moment they pushed off the station to the moment they hit the Pacific Ocean, the whole trip took just 10.5 hours. I want you to burn that number into your brain, 10.5 hours. It's the hero of this story, but as you're about to see, it's also the villain.
Because everything we've just talked about, this flawless, by-the-book rescue, is really just a dress rehearsal. And what it does is perfectly highlight the absolutely terrifying medical challenge that we are facing as we get serious about sending humans to Mars.
Here it is, the brutal, simple, inescapable math. For Crew-11, the best hospital in the world was about 10.5 hours away. For a crew on Mars, that same hospital is an 8-month flight away. There is no controlled medical evacuation from Mars. There's no coming home early.
I mean, just look at this chart. It almost seems fake. Getting to a top-tier hospital from the ISS takes less than half a day. From Mars, it's 240 days. The difference in scale is just staggering. The system that worked perfectly for Crew-11 is completely and utterly irrelevant for deep space exploration.
So what this really tells us is that this incredible success story is also a huge warning sign. It proves that for missions to Mars, we absolutely have to develop autonomous medical facilities on the ship itself. We need doctors who can do complex procedures guided by augmented reality because there's no real-time help from Earth. And we have to get way, way smarter about predicting the weird medical problems that can pop up on multi-year missions.
And this quote from the official analysis just says it all. The very thing that made the Crew-11 evacuation a success, that super quick trip home, is just impossible once you leave Earth's backyard. It forces a fundamental reevaluation of how we think about medicine in space. We have to start over. Which leaves us with this one final massive question. The lifeboat model works for low Earth orbit. We proved it. It's a success. But as we start looking toward Mars and beyond, we have to solve a much, much harder problem. What do you do when there is no lifeboat? What happens when the crew is truly on their own and the nearest hospital is another planet away?